Hi guys, my name is Natalia. It is November 17th and I want to show you what's growing in my garden. So this is new. Look, I have a sturdy fence. I put it up all by myself. I learned how to cut with wires, and I learned that you can use these little clippy things to put it onto the posts. Apparently, zip ties don't work. They just snap right off. So get these little doohickeys. It's like $3 for 25 of them, and they clip the fence right onto it. So definitely highly recommend you getting this. And then if you notice, there's a ton of leaves in this garden bed. That's because I've started moving the leaves from all over our yard into our garden bed. It's going to be our mulch. And over here, you can see we have little baby broccolis. Look at our broccolis. Observe the beautiful broccolis. Did you know that broccoli is actually a flower? Yeah. Apparently, you're eating baby flowers when you're eating broccoli. And then we have a whole bunch of radishes here, and it's been a hot minute, so I think it's time for us to pull some of them. I think I should probably just harvest all of them because they usually take like a month. Like this one didn't even grow. So we'll probably use this one as mulch. That's how we do it around here. We had like no rain for a very long time, and then we had a whole bunch of rain. So I think they were kind of in stasis for a little bit. But see, we have radishes. And they're beautiful. Some of them don't look very interesting from the top. They have a little bulb on them. So I'll come back and I'll pick the rest of them. But like over here, once we pick the radishes, our little flowers are going to become visible, which I'm really excited about. Look at this one. It's a big one. And I just planted these from seed, and it looks like some of them just didn't form bulbs. I have no idea why. Should look that up. When in doubt, Google it. That's my strategy. Because honestly, sometimes I don't know. This is purple cabbage, and they're just starting to form a little head. I don't know. Oh, there it is. See? Little baby. The rest of them are a lot bigger. See? Like this one, we'll probably pick it here in a little bit. And then over here is our parsley. Again, it's showing off. We got the curly parsley and then the straight leaf. Isn't that beautiful? And it tastes delicious. And then look, our sweet peas kind of taken over this trellis. And over here, we have little blooms, which means that pretty soon, here in the next couple of weeks, we should have sweet peas. So I'm thinking we're hosting Thanksgiving at our house. We'll definitely have fresh cabbage, fresh mustard greens, collards, bok choy, broccoli, and sweet peas on the table from the garden at our Thanksgiving, which is really exciting. Over here is our Brussels sprouts. Look at these. Sometimes if you plant them too early, you know, all these fall crops or whatever, the bugs get to them before you get it. They get a chance to like really take off. And like these guys, I planted them like 4, 5, 6 weeks after the other ones and on the other side of the garden. And yes, they're a little smaller, but they have 0 insect damage. So honestly, sometimes it's better to just wait a few weeks even though you're really itching to get started with the fall garden, just wait until October. You know, maybe even October 15th, and put these little guys in the ground, and then you don't have to be fighting with like aphids, you don't have to be fighting with caterpillars, you don't have to be fighting with cabbage worms or anything like that. Oh, I just saw something. Come here, follow me. Look at this. Look at our, these are loaded down with green bell peppers. They're as big as my hand. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, and look at this one. I'm gonna come back here after we record this, and look, there's another one, and like the top of this plant is just hanging down, and I didn't even see all of the bell peppers that are ready to go, ready to harvest on those. So it's really exciting. Sometimes they kind of take you by surprise. And then in this aisle over here, our little jalapeno bush little engine that could, is covered in jalapenos again. And then they just keep coming. And so I'm guessing, you know, once the weather turns, you know, it'll all die back. But over here, our lettuce went to seed. It's too warm for it. So what I do with these is I just basically chop and drop them. So I just yank them out by the root, and then I put it in there, and it turns into mulch. And so we're gonna do the same thing with all of these. And then we got our little lettuce named Freckles, and then we have our salad greens, and then we have our arugula over here, and everything seems to be growing beautifully. But these little guys right here, they all went to seed. So we're gonna chop and drop those. And then on this side, we have arugula. And over here, amongst the weeds, you can see little spinach. So I have to come in and weed all of this. But we do have spinach growing in here. And it's funny because like sometimes you think, oh, these are weeds, but like these little guys, I forget the names of them, but the little purple flowers are edible. So, I mean, this is edible. Purple violets right here. You can drink tea from the violets. And so I kind of hesitate to like yank these out. But again, you know, they're competing for nutrients and space with the spinach. So if we want to give our spinach a fighting chance, we have to pull the rest of this stuff out, which is kind of sad. But yeah, we should have spinach growing here pretty well into the winter. And pretty soon we're going to start harvesting, which is really fun. But you see, these little weeds, they have really deep root structures, and they're really good for aerating the soil and stuff like that. So, you know your weeds, know what they're good for, and stuff like that. And sometimes, if it's not harming the plant that's growing there, just leave it there, you know. And so we have arugula. Look how well this arugula is growing. They're huge. These like arugula leaves, they're growing so beautifully, and like they're all curly like this. I love that. And then you have over here, we have beets. We have some beets growing. And then if you can see over here, we have another bell pepper that's just kind of hanging out, but this thing is as big as my hand. So I'll have to come and pick that. Our little watering device over here is working beautifully. See, and just kind of the water goes on there, and then it just drains very slowly into the soil, and it waters the plants. And in the meantime, you know, birds can drink out of it and whatever. It's really kind of cool. This pepper plant over here also has baby peppers. So then these will grow until, you know, the first frost probably. So we just let them go. Our okra is no longer producing little baby okras, but I'm using the stalks as a trellis for the sweet peas. So the sweet peas are growing up the okras and using them as a trellis, which is very useful. So if you can reuse your plants and let them become, you know, structures for other plants, do that. Over here, this is a cardoon, and it's beautiful. You eat the stalks. It's kind of like celery or whatever, but they have like a ton of like nutritional benefits and all that kind of good stuff. Our eggplant is done for the season. You know, it's starting to look a little crazy, and there's a couple on there that have split open. So I just think it's either too dry, too cold, it's too something for them. So we're probably going to have to pull these little guys and compost them, or try to move them into the sunroom for the winter. I don't know if I want to do that or not. Over here, we have carrots growing. And these are the carrots. And you can see over here you have, you know, weeds. And you have more weeds. You know, and again, pull them when they start competing for nutrition. But if everything seems to be growing well together, just leave it. That's my philosophy. Don't overwork yourself for no reason. Over here, and this is kind of a lesson in not enough attention. So over here we have, you know, I planted all of these beet roots, and there's a whole lot of weeds that are growing, and they've really kind of done a number on the rest of the plants. So I will have to come in and pull some of these weeds. But our sorrel looks beautiful. Our walking onions look beautiful. I picked a whole bunch of kale the other day and made zuppa toscana. And it's been growing back, which is awesome. And then you have these beets here, and they look gorgeous. I planted these before the rest of them. And, you know, they you can definitely tell, you know, they're definitely growing a lot faster than the rest of them. Over here, check this out. You gotta zoom in here, but look, it's a little baby cauliflower. Isn't that beautiful? So you got a baby cauliflower. Look at our snapdragons. Aren't they gorgeous? And the little blooms are getting bigger and bigger. Isn't that crazy? And then watch this. This is the Swiss chard. So it's recovered, nothing's eating it anymore. So it looks beautiful. And then over here, you can see that the Brussels sprouts are starting to grow on the stalk. You can see these little tiny nodes down here. Those are little baby Brussels sprouts. Isn't that fun? I love that. And then our giant bok choy. And there's some purple bok choy behind you, right there. And then up over next to it is the mustard greens. And so those are growing really good. These are growing really good. Our collards are growing beautifully. And I heard, and I'm going to test out this theory, it tastes better after the first frost. So hopefully we'll have a first frost before Thanksgiving, and then for Thanksgiving we can have some collards that are supposedly tastier than most. So it's very exciting. And then over here, check it out. Look, we have heads of cabbage. This one looks like it's been chewed up a little bit, which is fine because the other three look gorgeous. And so we're just gonna let them grow, and we're gonna probably pick them around Thanksgiving. And I was totally right about this. If you look on this, look at this purple broccolis. They were broccolis. They had them mislabeled as purple cabbage on at the nursery or whatever, and I planted them here because I thought it was cabbage, and then they weren't growing right. I was like, they look more like broccoli, so I went and bought more purple cabbage and planted it a few weeks ago. But yeah, it's been confirmed. It's purple broccoli. Over here, our carrots are growing beautifully, and then over here we have another set of cabbages, and these were planted a couple weeks after the first set, so these will be ready probably a couple weeks after the first set, which is cool. And then we have all of our garlics, and these are the garlics amongst the weeds. They're growing beautifully, and they need cold in order to turn into cloves of garlic. Otherwise, it'd just be like a giant head of garlic. So we plant them in the fall, we let them die back in the winter, and then they grow back and do their thing in the spring. So we just let them. And then the purple cabbage is finally starting to take off, which is cool. And I find this very odd too. I don't know what to make of this section, because I planted onions all through here, and I'm only seeing 3 onions sprouting. And I'm not sure if something came in and like ate all of them, because I'm seeing like little dig holes. You know what I mean? And see, something's been digging around in here, and I wonder if something came in and ate all of my onion sets, or maybe they'll still grow. But it's kind of sad. I planted like 100 of them and only 3 sprouted, so I'm not sure what to make of it. Over here we have more carrots growing, and I'm gonna have to come in and weed again because the weeds are starting to take over. So I'll come in and I'll clean this up, so you know our carrots have a fighting chance. But I need to look this plant up on picture this, because it's everywhere. It really likes this area, and I bet you it's medicinal too. But yeah, so this is the garden. The rest of the yard looks fairly similar. What we did is plant about 150 bulbs in the beds. None of them has sprouted yet, so nothing really looks fancy. Oh, let me show you one thing. I'll take you around. So one thing I did since the last time I recorded was get these little trellises for our raspberries, you know, because they're just massive, and I needed something that would kind of support them a little bit better than just poles. And I don't feel like making a giant trellis for them yet, so I got these little tea trellises, and they seem to be very happy here. But these things have grown so much. They were about this big when I bought them this spring, and then I actually got another one over on the other side here. Be careful. This is lemon bone. But here's a little baby raspberry that was an impulse buy. I was like, I want another raspberry. I don't need another raspberry, but I'm getting one. And then you can see down here, if you look, it's starting to send up shoots. So they're going to propagate themselves, you know. And that we will have probably this whole section filled with raspberry vines, which is really cool. So this is our acidic soil garden, and plants that love acidic soil, the sages, the blueberries, and this rhododendron, they just love this thing. And this little guy, this rhododendron, used to be across the yard, and I moved it here because it likes acidic soil, and you know, I just figured it would be happy here. And I put sulfur on this garden bed about 2 weeks ago, and it started blooming. It hasn't bloomed all year, and here for the winter it just decides it's ready now. So that's very exciting. So hopefully next year it will kind of grow a little bit bigger, and you know, we'll have way more blooms. But look at this ornamental sage. It's got blooms all over it. Isn't that gorgeous? And this thing was like a tiny bush when I bought it this year, and it grew so much. This one did the same. See, there's only a few blooms left, but it's just so happy here. Cute, huh? So the last thing I wanted to show you guys is our baby persimmon tree. It looks like a twig, and it looks dead, but it is not. It was just a bare root tree, and it was supposed to be planted in the fall, so we planted it, and it should break dormancy in the spring. What's interesting about persimmon trees is that their like bark feels a little soft, like kind of like velvet. It's really pretty, you know, it's kind of fun. But over here we have nasturtiums taking off. So I planted nasturtium seeds in the early spring, like in May, and nothing came up. And I thought, well, you know, the seeds just didn't germinate. And here in October and November, they all decided to germinate. So we have nasturtiums there, 4 different places. The nasturtiums are growing. So it's kind of interesting. Sometimes you plant things and you think they're dead, and they're not. So like, especially with like these what are they called? Strawberries. So you plant these strawberries, and like sometimes the original plant that you stick in the ground dies back, but then it just like sends out these little runners, and then a little baby plant grows right next to it. And so if you plant something and it looks like it's dead, give it some time. Sometimes it will come back, and you'll be surprised. So and over here, if you can see, I had a blackberry bush over here that I moved, and I must have left a piece of the blackberry root in here, and now I have a baby blackberry plant growing here. So never discount your plants. They really, really, really want to grow. So, well, thank you guys. It's the fall, and so everything looks like it's dying back, but everything's still blooming. Everything's, you know, we're about to harvest a whole lot of vegetables, and we're going to have fresh produce from our garden for Thanksgiving, which is really exciting. So, you know, especially if you live in the upstate or whatever, just stick something in the ground. Worst case scenario, it dies. Best case scenario, you grew something, which is really cool. So follow me for, I don't know, tips, tricks, maybe just to see that someone else is kind of trying new things and failing, but also succeeding, you know. But I hope you like this video, share it with people, watch it, follow me, all the things, and you know, we're on this journey together, you know, to learn from each other. So tell me in the comments if you want to see something special, or you know, if you want me to cover something that I haven't covered yet. Have a great day.